It was a Wednesday, that strange day caught in the middle of the week, a day that feels like it's holding its breath, waiting for something unexpected. The sky was overcast, and the air smelled like fresh rain mixed with the city's old cobblestone streets. I had slipped into the corner cafe, seeking warmth from the soft jazz notes playing in the background and the comforting hum of strangers around me. The kind of place where the world seems to slow down, where people come to linger over their thoughts as much as their coffee. That's when I saw her. She was sitting by the window, her figure softly outlined by the light filtering through the rain-dappled glass. She had dark, wavy hair that brushed her shoulders and a quiet, contemplative look about her, like she was in on a secret no one else could know. A well-worn paperback was open on the table, held delicately in her hands. Her face softened as she read, the faintest smile lifting the corner of her lips as though she just encountered an old memory hiding in the words. I almost looked away, feeling I had interrupted a private moment. But I felt this pull, this invisible thread tugging me toward her. I picked up my coffee and walked over, the sound of my shoes against the wooden floor suddenly louder in my ears. She looked up, and for a split second, I froze, caught in her gaze. A warm, curious look that made me think of golden fields stretching out under a setting sun. I somehow found my voice and managed a quiet, "Hi." She returned my greeting with a nod and a small smile, as if she'd been waiting for me to say something. When I asked if I could join her, she didn't hesitate, just shifted her book aside and said, "Sure." Her name, she said, was Layla. A name that, from that moment, I knew I wouldn't be able to forget. The conversation started out light, almost like small ripples on a calm lake. We talked about the book she was reading, a novel she had found in a small shop downtown, she said, with pages so worn they felt like velvet under her fingertips. She loved the way books could transport you somewhere else, the way stories could bring people together across miles and years. I told her that I'd always admired readers, especially the ones who seemed to find themselves completely absorbed, like they were in another world. And she laughed, a soft, lilting sound that danced over the noise of the cafe. Then the rain started to fall harder, tapping against the window, and our conversation deepened as naturally as the storm outside. She told me about her favorite places to sit and read. By the river in the early morning, on her rooftop under the stars, anywhere the world around her felt alive and full of stories waiting to be told. I felt a strange connection to her, this sense that she, too, was someone who found beauty in the ordinary. She said she loved reading in the rain, that it made the words feel as if they were unfolding just for her, as if the whole world outside was pausing to let her take it all in. And there, in the glow of the cafe, she told me about a trip she dreamed of, one that would take her far across the ocean to places where she could wander ancient streets and sit under trees with histories as old as time. She said she wanted to experience life with the curiosity of a traveler, even if it meant getting lost, so long as she found stories to bring back home. Hours slipped by, and soon the cafe was empty except for the two of us. The rain had softened to a drizzle, and the light outside had faded into a soft twilight. I looked at her, and in that moment I realized I didn't want this evening to end. But more than that, I realized I didn't want to be just a passerby in her life. As we stood to leave, I asked if we could meet again, maybe for another coffee or to share more stories in another tucked-away corner of the city. Her eyes lit up and she said, "I'd like that." The way she said it, soft and sure, made it feel like a promise, like the start of something neither of us had planned. After that, our lives began to intertwine. We met in that same cafe often, though sometimes we'd pick new places, a small, hidden garden behind a museum, or a library filled with dusty tomes no one else seemed to notice. Each meeting unfolded like a new chapter, as though we were writing our own story together, one that only we could understand. She became the thread that wove my days together, the friend who turned moments into memories. And every time I saw her, it felt like discovering her anew, peeling back the layers of her thoughts and dreams, each one revealing something more vivid and beautiful than the last. In her quiet way, she showed me how to see the world again, to find the colors hidden in gray days, the melody in silence. And I think that's when I knew, when you find someone who can make even the ordinary feel extraordinary, you hold on to them. So here I am, looking back at that rainy Wednesday with a smile, knowing it was the day I met the girl who turned my life into a story worth telling.